That is so cool. I'm really chuffed. It actually makes me quite emotional, I have to say.
Yeah, stopped. Good, nice line. Go. Good, brilliant.
Hey guys, welcome back to another video. I thought it was about time that I did an update video on this, my long-termer BMW 420i. I've had this car for almost exactly 2 months now and covered 2,000 miles in it, so it's fair to say I know it reasonably well. Later on in this video I want to show you my YouTube silver play button, because obviously you guys and girls have got a massive part to play with that. And I also want to talk about the ETA for my incoming G80 M3 competition, because I know it's taking much longer than I thought, and probably a lot longer than a lot of you guys thought. And I've seen a lot of comments on Instagram and on my YouTube channel of people asking, where's the car, when's it coming? And trust me, I really want it as much as some of you lot do, so I'll update you about that towards the end of the video. This car, what's it been like to live with? Well, firstly, the past 2 months or so have been really busy for me. Obviously restrictions have been lifting, press departments have been getting more and more exciting and interesting cars. I've even been off to a couple of car launches, and in fact today I'm heading down to Goodwood for their media drive day, where we get to drive the majority of manufacturers' cars on the road and some of them on the track as well. It's a really good day. Obviously last year it was cancelled due to COVID, but in 2019 I went and I had a fantastic time, because you could really just experience lots of cars in a short amount of time, and you didn't feel too obliged to filming too many videos because you only get 20 minutes with each car. So it's literally a taster of each car, which is really exciting. But anyway, today's journey is the perfect sort of journey for this 420i. I live near Buckingham and Goodwood is at Goodwood, and we're talking about a 5.5 hour round trip and nearly 250 miles. So it's a lot of time to be spent in the car, not including the time that I'm going to spend in cars when I get down there. And so I wanted something very comfortable and easy to do miles in, a mile muncher if you like. And I had the choice because I've actually got a Mark 8 GTI Club Sport at home that is very entertaining and lots of fun. Brilliant car, video on that coming very soon. And I chose to take this because it's just so comfortable. One of the big downfalls of the Mark 8 Golf, as I talked about in my recent Golf R video, is the interior. It feels a bit low rent, driving position's not perfect, and all the infotainment is just frustrating and annoying. And on a journey like this, obviously that's what you spend a lot of time focusing on, what you're surrounded by, the cabin, etc., the driving position. And that car is not good at that. It's great at being a proper driver's car. It's great when you're pushing it on your favourite road, but when you're cruising on motorways and A roads, it's just not perfect. I say that, and we're on a brilliant road at the moment, but this 4 Series is good on the twisties as well. Why is it so good? Well, the driving position is just fantastic. Everything I'm surrounded by, the cabin quality, there's no rattles or squeaks in here, absolutely none. The cabin is completely silent. Everything is screwed together so well. I love the operating system 7. I think it is undoubtedly the best infotainment system on the planet. I love the fact that there's buttons down here, there's an iDrive controller here, but there is touchscreen capabilities if I need that. The digital cockpit, well, it's okay. I'm not the biggest fan of the shape of the dials, but it's certainly a lot more clear than, let's say, the Mark 8 Golf one. And this particular car also has a fantastic BMW head-up display, which is what you end up looking in the majority of the time. This car also has the brilliant Harman Kardon sound system, which in the 3 and 4 Series is so much better than in the 1 and 2 Series. The one on my M2 is okay, but it nothing special. You certainly wouldn't think it was a Harman Kardon in there, but when you get in the bigger cars, the 3, 4, 5 and 7s, it it just sounds so much better in this particular car. And you do tend to listen to it a lot more than, say, if you had an M440i or an M4 even, because this B48 4-cylinder 2-litre turbocharged engine isn't very sonorous. It's not the most tuneful of engines, and you're certainly not revving it out to listen to the sound of the engine. You're revving it out to actually get some progress in this car, because it doesn't have much torque or power really. And they're some of the negatives that we will talk about a bit later. In terms of efficiency, well, it's actually done pretty well. In the 2 months I've had this car, it's averaged just over 37 miles to the gallon, and this morning's journey, which has been a combination of motorways and A roads, I've averaged just over 40 miles to the gallon. So pretty decent, but if I was in a 420D or the new 430D, that figure would be 50 miles to the gallon, if not a bit more. So there's no denying that a diesel lump still makes more sense in this sort of car, but obviously diesel isn't for everybody, and it's harder and harder to buy a diesel these days with all the restrictions in place. What has crossed my mind a few times in the period that I've had this car is the 430i, and I know it's a couple of grand more expensive, and it has the same engine essentially, but it's just tuned much better, so it has a chunk more power and a chunk more torque. And I'm sure if you're looking for a fairly economical, well-priced 4 Series, I really think that would be the one to go for over this, because it's no heavier, but it just gives you that extra power and torque. And that's the one thing that this car is really crying out for in some situations. In my initial video, I talked about this car being £49,000 with options, but actually, on reflection, well, that Golf R I had a couple of weeks ago was £45-ish thousand, and I know that it had blistering performance and it would do 0 to 60 in basically 4 seconds, so unbelievable performance, and can certainly justify its price tag. But when you look at it like that, if you're not looking for a super fast hot hatch, this is similar money. And when you're sitting here, at least cruising along a road like this, I mean, it feels like it's twice the money in here. It's so much nicer to sit in, much nicer driving position. As we talked about, all of this tech and infotainment is just so much better. So when you look at it like that and you compare it with something like an expensive hot hatch that's nearly 50 grand, I really think this actually represents reasonably good value. There are a couple of negative things I want to talk about in the time that I've had this car. And the first one is tyre roar. As I go into a smoother surface, you can hardly hear it, but on longer journeys you do pick up on the tyre roar, and a lot of that has to do with the fact that this runs some fairly average Bridgestone run flat tyres, and it also has to do with the fact that the engine is so quiet and this cabin is just such a serene place to sit that you do end up tuning into things that aren't right, a bit like you do in an EV car. When you get on a rougher surface like this, there is just a bit of tyre roar that you hear in the cabin. There's no wind noise, everything else is perfect, but that's just a minor gripe, and I'm sure a lot of that will go away with a decent set of Michelin or similar tyres. The other thing, as we pull out this junction, something we touched upon earlier on, is just lack of power and torque. That was foot on the floor, and I just managed to scrape up to about 55 miles an hour as we come into a 30 zone. I just wish that it had a little bit more punch, because it really deserves it. It's such a good chassis, it's such a great car in the twisties. It does need more power, and I know in my initial video I said maybe it doesn't, and I'm sure to the typical 420i clientele it probably doesn't at all. But let's be thankful that we have the 430i or the M440i. Obviously that's a slightly bigger price bracket, but if you do want more pace and more power, you have got those options available to you. Okay, my silver play button from YouTube to celebrate my 100,000 subscribers. It's a little bit funny because I'm actually fast approaching 160,000 subs now, and I actually clocked over 100,000 middle of June last year, so over 10 months ago. But when this arrived fairly recently, I was still extremely excited about it. It's a massive milestone for me, and this is down to two things. It's down to my hard work, and it's down to all of you guys and girls for the support that you've showed me. And you watching my videos has meant that I've got this, but not only this, I've actually got myself a career doing what I love and what I enjoy, and I've managed to survive the past 14 months because of YouTube. My actual business is pretty much finished and dried up, and I'm very fortunate to have that, but at the same time I know that I've worked very hard to get to the place that I'm at, so it's just a combination of them. But as I say, without you guys and girls watching my stuff, I wouldn't be here doing this video now. I certainly wouldn't have this. So let's have a look at it. So you open it up, there's a bit of foam there. I get a letter here, it's really nice. Yeah, it's just asking me if you remember your 100th subscriber, your 1000th subscriber, and I do remember those days. They don't seem like that long ago, although I think I passed 1,000 subs exactly 5 years ago. So it was a long time ago, and a lot of videos ago, probably 400 or so videos. Now here is the play button. So let's see if we can get it up here without damaging the packaging too much. And let's get it out of here. I've certainly not taken it out of here. So this is a first. You can probably see how clean it is. Now look at that. That is so cool. I'm really, really chuffed. It actually makes me quite emotional, I have to say. Yeah, the graft and time that I've put in to get this has just been unreal. But I've had so much fun along the way, and I'll continue to do that. So thank you so much. Really nice. Presented to Joe Achilles for passing 100,000 subscribers. YouTube. Awesome. The last thing we need to talk about is my incoming M3. Where is it? Why do I not have it yet? Some of you might know about the carbon seat issue or delay that BMW have had with the G80 M3s, and my car was one of those affected ones. Unfortunately, I changed my spec so many times about 2 or 3 months ago that the final time Tony Lewis put it into the system, effectively, it jumped back, and that was because of a combination of many things, but mostly down to the fact that they were so limited with the carbon seats. And you might see a few YouTubers out there have picked up their M3s with the regular seats, and that is mostly down to the fact that, yeah, the carbon seat delay issue on the M3s only. You might say, well, why not the M4s? Well, the M4s obviously have a slightly different seat because they move forward like they do in this car to allow passengers to get in the back, so they are actually different seat units. Something to do with borders and carbon delay, and there's so many delays with things like that obviously in the world that we live in today with C19 around. So the car's delayed. It's apparently just left build, so it should be here. Tony said hopefully first week in May, so not long away. And to be fair, I've been so busy that although I've kind of wanted to get my hands on it nice and early so I could shoot more content, share it with you guys, I've kind of not been thinking about it too much because I've had so many cars coming in and out. I've got this. I haven't really even driven my M2 since I bought it from the finance company, so it's not like I'm crying out to get my hands on the M3. But I think once it arrives, we should be getting more weather like this, longer days, and hopefully I can take it straight off on a petrol head tours or track day, etc. So I am looking massively forward to getting my hands on it and picking it up and showing you guys the spec. I'm arriving at the beautiful Goodwood Motor Circuit now and going to enjoy my media drive day. So I'm going to switch the cameras off. Thanks a lot for watching as always, guys. Appreciate it. Give us a thumbs up if you enjoyed this, and I'll see you at the next video very, very soon. Hey buddy.
Hello.
I'm just here for the media day.
Yeah.